Good evening, everyone. I'm Thomas Emerson, the relatively new now first-year principal of GAMP, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to this evening in celebration of Dr. Jack Carr. When I first began my journey in this school district some 20 years ago, it was impossible not to be aware of a certain group of principals, those rare leaders whose identities were inseparable from the schools they built. Everyone knew their names: Dr. Sheldon Pavel at Central, Chris Lehman at SLA, and the legendary Dr. Jack Carr. I knew about Jack Carr and his legacy long before I arrived here. I remember being a first-year teacher and hearing the GAMP choir while they were out on tour. I stood in the back of the auditorium listening to that remarkable sound, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is the absolute best that Philadelphia has to offer. Jack was a true son of this city, a proud graduate of Overbrook High and Westchester University, who dedicated over 40 years to the children of Philadelphia. When he founded GAMP in 1974 with just a few students and a handful of borrowed rooms, people thought a public music school was a gamble. But Jack was a visionary. He took his experience as a world-class conductor and musician and applied that same discipline to school leadership. He didn't just want to lead a school, he wanted to build a culture, and it's one he is still very much invested in today. Within weeks of my arrival as principal, Jack appeared at the front door with a small army of contractors. He politely informed me that the planters needed attention, the outdoor pipes needed paint, and the front doors required refinishing. Before my first month was up, he was personally spearheading an aesthetic overhaul of the parking lot signs. I say that with a smile because it perfectly captures who Jack is. He simply cannot help but pour himself into this place and into everything he does. Jack, I am so deeply grateful for your support, a tireless vision for this wonderful institution, and for the fact that your commitment to this place didn't end when you left the main office so many years ago. Looking around tonight, it is clear that GAMP remains the school that Jack envisioned. His vision is alive in the harmony that we hear in our hallways every day, and in the standard of excellence our students meet. Jack laid GAMP's foundation, but he also provided its soul. It is the honor of my professional life to serve as GAMP's principal. But as we reflect today on the giant whose shoulders we stand upon tonight, I view my role through a different lens. More than being just the new principal of GAMP, I am the proud steward of Dr. Carr's vision. I am not just his successor, I am the person charged with carrying his remarkable vision of his school into the future. Please join me in honoring the true legend, Dr. Jack Carr. Before we begin, I would like to honor a committee of remarkable individuals who worked tirelessly to make tonight possible. Would you please stand when I call your name? Carl Wellman, Anthony Gray Bolden, Thomas Navaloni, Anna Cabot, Debbie Mann, Elaine Farah, Mary Ann Scully, and the leader of tonight, Diane Daniel-Pelzer. I would also like to thank our music staff, Mr. Cameron Stringman, who helped set up, he's here to play piano tonight, and Mr. Matt Holcomb, our music chair, who made all of our lights and sound and everything possible. I would first like to invite Jason Corasanite from String Theory up to the stage to give a few remarks about you.
Thank you, Thomas. So I'm a 1992 graduate of GAMP, and like many of you, began my journey as a GAMP kid at Stephen Girard in fourth grade, and remember Jack coming down, and at that time was very tall, very scary, and began my journey at GAMP as being very intimidated by Jack, but like many of you, got a chance to be in choir. I played trumpet for many years, and GAMP for us was, as much a family as anything else, and all the time we spent in, our bands, our orchestras, All City, our musicals, our traveling. We probably spent more time or as much time traveling and rehearsing as we did in class. So for us, GAMP was a family, and Jack was, a surrogate parent for many of us. And so when Jack retired, and I want to say 2012 and 2013, as many of you know Jack and grown up with Jack, knew that he probably would not stay retired for very long. And so 3 years, 3 days, 3 whole days. And so we asked Jack to become our founding principal of String Theory's high school that opened up in 2013. So for me, it was just such an honor and a blessing to have Jack as a teacher, as a principal, as a mentor, and then both as a colleague and friend in starting String Theory. And I'm also a parent of 3 kids who were coming up through our school and got a chance in high school to get a chance to grow up with Jack. And trying to explain to your kids sometimes what your favorite movie growing up was, you just don't do it justice. And of course, telling my kids and my wife, trying to explain all the experiences and all the quotes and sayings that Jack had is just didn't go over well. And but giving them an opportunity to grow up and for them to have Dr. Carr be as meaningful a person in their life as possible, and also in my parents and my wife's life, knowing him both as a friend and a colleague. Jack, I just want to say thank you so much. We appreciate you, we love you, and after hearing all the stories from everybody that we graduated with and grown up through GAMP here tonight, I think we made ourselves back to the garden. So thank you, Jack.
So, how many of you have ever been to New Hope? Across the river from New Hope is Lambertville, and right up the road from that is Music Mountain Theater. And that theater is run by one of the people who's going to perform for us right now, Mr. Louis Helena. Is going to sing with another person who, and it sounds really casual to say this, but he's fresh off of Broadway, Mr. James Lane. Singing Lily's Eyes from The Secret Garden.
Strangely quiet, but now the storm simply rests to strike again. Standing waiting, I think of her, I think of her. This Mary, she leaves the room, yet remains. She lingers on. Something stirs me to think of her. I think of her. From death she cast her spell. All night we hear her sighs, and now the girl has come who has her eyes. She has her eyes. The girl has Lily's hazel eyes, those eyes that saw him happy long ago, those eyes that gave him life and hope he'd never know. How can he see the girl and miss those days? She has her eyes, the girl has
this house seemed to be, and I, her bravest knight became. My lady fair was she.
She's her eyes, she has my lady's hazel eyes, those eyes that love my brother never need, those eyes that never saw me, never knew. I long to hold her close, to live at last in his eyes.
Imagine me a lover.
Oh, I long for the day she'd turn and see me standing there, where God had let her stand. She has my lady's hazel eyes, those eyes that I love so. How can I forget that I dare to be in love and hold in Lily's eyes, in Lily's eyes.
I can still remember the first time I met Dr. Card. It was 1988 and I was auditioning for GAM. Like so many of you, I walked in carrying equal parts excitement and doubt, listening to incredibly talented students and quietly wondering, do I really belong here? And then I met him. Dr. Card greeted me with that larger-than-life presence, impossible to ignore, impossible to forget, and walked me into an office unlike anything that I'd ever seen in a Philadelphia public school. At that moment, you would think the nerves would have only intensified, but they didn't. Because within seconds, something shifted. I felt seen. I felt comfortable. I felt like I belonged. And what's remarkable is that feeling didn't fade after the audition. It didn't fade after my first year, or even after graduation. That sense of belonging stayed with me for all 4 years, and truthfully, for the rest of my life. Because what Dr. Card built here was never just a school. Yes, camp is a blue ribbon institution. Yes, its music accolades and programs rival the very best in the country. But as impressive as they are, they don't fully capture his legacy. What he created was a home. A place where musicians and athletes, theater kids and scholars, students from every background, every neighborhood, every walk of life came together. Not just to coexist, but to respect one another, to learn from one another, and to grow together. No cliques, no outsiders, no one left wondering if they belonged. And if you think about it, even the GAMP logo tells that story. The treble and bass clefs intertwined. Different voices, different perspectives, coming together to create something unified, something beautiful, through the universal language of music. That's not just a symbol, it's a philosophy. It's one that has carried across generations. Because once you're part of this place, you don't leave it behind. We are campers for life. Now, a vision like that doesn't sustain itself by accident. Dr. Card surrounded himself with faculty and staff who believed in the same vision, who showed up every day not just as educators, but as mentors and guides, and in many ways, as Jason said earlier, family. They knew our names, they pushed us, they held us accountable, they believed in us, sometimes before we believed in ourselves. And because of that, we wanted to rise to the occasion. We wanted to make them proud. We didn't want to let them down. That kind of environment stays with you. It shapes who you become. I know it shaped me. And here's the most extraordinary part. More than 50 years later, Dr. Card is still here. Still present, still invested, still passionate about the future of the school and the students who walk these halls. Alongside so many dedicated faculty and staff, past and present, he continues to give his time, his energy, and his heart to this community. That's not just leadership, that's legacy. I would not be who I am today without the influence of this man and the community he built. I am proud to call him mentor, friend, and family. And I know I'm not alone in that. Because for all of us, coming back here feels the same. It feels like coming home. And I have to say, there's nothing quite like walking through the doors, seeing him, and hearing that familiar voice say, "Welcome, Buster." And just like that, you're right back where you belong. So tonight, as we honor Dr. Carr, I'd like to say, thank you for building more than a school. Thank you for building a family. And from all of us, thank you, Buster. It's now my pleasure and honor to introduce State Representative Jordan Harris.
How's everybody doing? Good. That was weak. We're going to try it again. How's everybody doing? Good. All right. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here. I am Pennsylvania State Representative Jordan Harris. I serve my neighbors in 186th District, which is parts of Point Breeze, Grace Ferry, Graduate Hospital, and Kingston. And then I serve the whole state as the majority chairman of the House Appropriations Committee. And in the early 90s, I called GAMP my home. It is an honor and a privilege to be here tonight to honor a visionary, a leader who has built something that the city of Philadelphia, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, quite honestly, the whole region and the country should be proud of. In a time where folks might want to erase music education in this country, what Dr. Carr has built here is a shining example of what happens when you take vision and put it into action. And so I am honored to be here tonight to honor you for all of the years that you've dedicated to the young people in this city to create such a fine institution that has graduated some of the world's not just best musicians, but quite honestly, best people. And you know, I have so many fond memories as I look around this room. My all-time favorite person, of course, is Miss Mann right here. She was my 5th grade teacher. She was one of the best teachers ever. When I came in, I was really excited. I haven't seen this man since I was in 8th grade. My 8th grade teacher, Mr. Farrell, is here. So I gotta tell you, every time I talk about teachers, I always tell people, Mr. Farrell used to do voices when he would read books to us. One of the favorite characters he did the voice for me was Fluter Flam. I still remember that all the way from 8th grade. And he called me very loquacious when I was a student and said I would be good in politics. I guess he got something right. I saw Ms. Dannenfelser, who I've been on the picket lines, organizing with your husband in the union he works with. I see the Morrows sitting over there. So, listen, you know, GAMP is not just a school. It really is a family. And here's the thing that I've learned over my years, just as I've matured in my work. At some point in time, we'll all leave this place. And what will be left behind won't be the clothes, it won't be the shoes, but it will be the impact that we've made in someone else's life. Our legacy is not just about, you know, the accolades and the titles that we have, but our legacy will live on in the generations who we've been able to touch, the people that we've been able to inspire. And what I can tell you is that I know, Dr. Carr, from all of your years, that your life on this earth has been well lived by inspiring generations, not just good musicians, but good quality people. And we owe you a great debt. Not that I want you to leave or anything, I didn't say that, you know, but
I'm saying, you know.
These lights, we did do $250,000 for the sound system here in the studio. Somebody told me y'all need new lights.
Yes.
What do you think about it?
Yes, please.
You need new lights? So we'll do $250,000 to replace the lights. If you got the power, you might as well use it. It's going to help a lot of young people who come to this theater. Before I go, I do want to present Dr. Carr with his citation on behalf of the Commonwealth House of Representatives. It says, whereas Dr. Jack Carr, a visionary educator and passionate advocate for the arts, founded the Girard Academic Music Program in 1974, establishing a groundbreaking institution dedicated to the integration of vigorous academic achievements and exceptional music education for students 5 through 8. Whereas, with only 55 students at its inception, Dr. Carr's bold vision laid out the foundation for a thriving academic community, one that will grow to serve over 500 students and produce generations of accomplished scholars and talented musicians. I'm going to skip all the way down. Whereas, first graduating class, 1983, marked the beginning of a lasting legacy, one defined by excellence, opportunity, and blended academics and arts. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we proudly honor Dr. Jack Carr for his exemplary vision, unwavering dedication, and lasting contribution to education and the arts, and extend our deepest gratitude for the profound and exemplary life that he has led. Now, be it further resolved that a copy of this citation, sponsored by myself, the Honorable Jordan A. Harris from the 186th District, be transmitted to Dr. Carr, and it is signed with my signature and affixed with the seal of the House of Representatives. Thank you, Dr. Carr, for all your service to all the students in Philadelphia. God bless you, everyone.
So Jack, you're so very hard to surprise. But I think we do have one performer here who you were not aware of, and also fresh from Broadway, Mr. Paris Nix, singing You Raise Me Up.
This is a song that I guess you could call it Gamp's like one-hit wonder. I see you laughing at it. And we performed it countless times, over and over and over, because it was an amazing song. And you know, Dr. Carr really made sure that whenever we were out performing, we were performing to perfection. And as soon as Miss Dana Belzer said or asked me to come do this, I was like, I have to sing and play You Raise Me Up. So. when I am down and oh my soul so weary. When troubles come and my heart burning, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and stay a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Now, Jack, we have a few surprises for you tonight. Despite your valiant efforts to uncover all of our surprises, we think we have been successful in keeping these from you. So, I'd like to welcome Debbie and Guy Mann to the stage. Before you pull, when I first got here, I kept looking around the school and I said, where is evidence of Dr. Jack Carr in this building? Where is evidence of the man who built this place? So our surprises tonight are an attempt to permanently honor your legacy in this building. So Guy and Debbie, if you could unveil our first surprise for Jack. This portrait will be hung from now on in the lobby of Gamp's Theater, so all who come to the school can see it on the camera.
This next performer was usually sitting at that piano when he was supposed to be in English, math, science, and any other class. He'd be in here singing beautifully, and he still does. So, singing Bridge Over Troubled Water, Mr. Christian Eason.
How you like it, Jack? I know the talent's not supposed to talk, you know, but just a very short 30-second story. I was homeschooled and I came back to Philadelphia from Georgia after 3 years, and Virginia Lamb, who's here, a legend, by the way, said, we gotta get you into music school. And so I was supposed to go to Kaplan first, but somebody was late at Kaplan. So we ended up coming here first. And Dr. Carr showed me the school, and I walked in here and he yelled at a bunch of kids that were singing. And I said, this is great. And me, you know, I had never ever seen a school like this. And Jack, I just want to say, I would not be the man and the person I am today if you would have never taken that chance with me and brought me into school. And of course, invested more in me throughout the years. So I love you and I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much. When you're weary, feeling small, when the tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when the evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down Sail on, silver boy. Sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm a sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water.
And now we have one more surprise for Jack. I hope. Our final celebration of Jack is the school has officially renamed this theater the Dr. Jack Carr. Jack, would you come up and say a few words?
You can cue it, Mac.
Alright, is everybody ready?
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley, no, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need to call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby,
Just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. Don't have to worry.
'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you.
There really is no way to thank everyone for this exciting evening for me in my life. And it's been a long career in 2 schools, not only camp, but also at the String Theory School for the last 13 years. But I'm going to say a few words. If I go on too long camera, I'm going to start playing the camp on the line. I know it's like the Oscars and they cut off. I've always wished to win the lottery, but sadly I have not won the lottery as far as monetarily. But I did win it twice in my life with the establishment of camp in 1974 and the opportunity to begin a music major program at such a young level. And then I had it again in 2013 when I was awarded the principalship of string theory from the Corsini family, whom I've known for many years. Rita Brown, is Rita Brown's daughter here? She was supposed to come. Okay. Karen Brown. Rita Brown was actually the person that made this happen in the beginning because I was 24 years old. I knew no one. I taught for about 3 or 4 years, and I had to be at the right place at the right time. I met her. And she had the faith in me to let me go to an off-site location with 55 of her most excellent students and a team of excellent teachers in Anavada and Eva Martin, St. Eva Martin now, the most wonderful woman, Anavada, Lola Rooney, and my beloved Jinx Mason Miller, who was 99 years young. She was kind of the person who kept it all together in the beginning years when we had the 55 students at the church down there at 18th and Wolf. And then we were 3 more years at the Armory on Broad and Morton. And the last 30-some years we've been here at the Poe School. So we originally knew that there was a school named Girard, and we thought, well, maybe we'll change the name of the school to Poe Instrumental Music Program. But we thought that could be a problem because when they say to a student, where did you go to school? They'd have to say, I went to PIP. And we thought that would be permanent to a problem in our lives. From 1979 on, we've been in this building, but for almost 30 of those years, it was an elementary school, and we were functioning at the middle school and high school, and it was a challenge. Luckily, we had teams of teachers that were so magnificent to work with and so dedicated to what happened. Nobody ever took a day off, because I'd be furious if you did. I was furious when I took a day off. So people came to school every single day, and they stayed here with me in this career for many, many years, and I'm forever grateful to all of them who are here today. And at the end of the night, I want to bring up those people, because they should be sharing this night with me. They were so much a part of everything that we did here at this school for so many, many years. And I'm getting the accolades tonight, but there are many people I share this with, quite honestly. And I remember them every single day. And they're my good friends. So anyway, in 2006 6, Paul Vallis was the superintendent then, and he decided to award us $17 million to create the edifice that you see here, along with supposedly a gymnasium and a cafeteria. However, in the beginning we were told the theater, since we only had 500 students, we would get 250 seats. I said, well then don't build that, because that would be a waste of, we'll have to do 10 shows every time we do, because this would be packed every single night. We'd have to do 20 musical productions, and nobody could have lived through that and still teach every single day. So I used my union scruples I learned from dealing with the unions, and I said I want 1,000 seats. Knowing I would never get that, so I got 600. That's the one you see here. And then I was told we would not get a full-size gymnasium or a full-size cafeteria. We would get something called a gymateria or a cafenasium. It's a high school. Wake up. Anyway, I knew that Gordon Reed was building a new building down less than a mile from here. And I questioned immediately, well, how many gyms is Gordon Reed getting? They said 2. I said, well, I want one of theirs. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're getting nothing and they're getting 2. So anyway, I did get the gymnasium, and I certainly got the cafeteria at the same time, but I did not get the 5 classrooms that we now need in this building over top of the cafe. And that would have been the 5 or 6 music theory classrooms. We did not get, I had to give that up. So if Art Cratchman is here, or people that know Art Cratchman tell him, at one time, I did put sports above my gas. After 50 years, camp has provided generations of Philadelphia families with an educational setting that is second to none. We have created the problem solvers and the leaders in the workforce of our nation, some of whom you heard here tonight. These students are my friends. They were my friends when they were here, and they definitely are my friends to this day. It's not one of them I don't remember. So many of them could have performed here tonight. This could have gone on for hours. As Mrs. Dannenfeld surely knows, that's why she kept saying, don't ask anyone else to perform. I still was. She finally had a chance to tell me what to do, and she loved it. I also salute my fellow administrators who have worked here after me, Jovan Moore, Joanne Beaver, and now the Supreme Leader, well that says kind of Middle Eastern, but Thomas Emerson. As he completes his first year, it is evident to all that Gant has gotten the passionate, dedicated advocate that will be so essential to lead the building through the next half of the 21st century. So you have 24 more years to go, Thomas. Allow me to address a minute and talk to you about my career that I started in 2013 at String Theory. I was being encouraged by the district to retire, as most of us were in 2013. I really didn't want to, but I thought, well, then it happened to be at the same exact time, Angela Porcelini, whom I'd known for many years because her Jason, who spoke earlier, and her daughter, Missy, were both graduates of this school in the 90s. So I knew the family very well, and I knew her school very well, because we worked in tandem a lot during the years that she was running that school and I was running this one, or when I was just a teacher here. So at the last performance of Grease, I was Christian, who just sang, was the lead in 2013. Angela came to the piano right down there and said, Jack, when are you going to start working? And I said, I think I'm stopping. I don't plan on working much longer. And she said, well, I need you to do it in a few years, whatever you can do. Anyway, so I did. I did 5 years there as the principal, and it was a glorious time, because it was a different student body than we actually had here, because we were able to handpick the students that we can do here. But we had wonderful, wonderful students, many of which could have been AGAMP students, and many of them have been AGAMP. So I was so pleased to be a member of that group and a member of that faculty for so many years. In 2018, Angela asked me to stay on as an arts advisor and leader of culture at the school, and I've been doing that for the last 9 years or so. So it's been a wonderful affiliation, and I'm so pleased, and I thank her, and I thank that organization for having me there, work with them. And I know, hopefully Angela will say, don't tell me, hopefully Angela will say a few words at the end to all of you, because Jason already spoke, but I'm just very grateful to that organization, but I'm certainly more grateful to GAMP after 43 years and what you have done with the naming of the theater for me. I don't want to get off the stage tonight without asking the people who were with me on this faculty all this time, and especially Angela Militia and the man who was like my brother, because I was never an assistant principal with him. I was a co-principal. He allowed me to make decisions. He allowed me to go and do the entire establishment of this building with the planners in the school district of Philadelphia and with the architects who were designing it. So I had a lot of input into making this happen, making sure the seats that somebody sat in front of you, they were 6 feet tall, you could still see. I tried to make sure you had enough leg space, making sure you didn't have rear end space, because there's all different size seats here. I got to pick every single thing from the swatches and this material to the floors in the district. Do we have a new floor yet? We do. This is a new floor here. And this building constantly needs attention. The school district has never been able to really continue to keep buildings up. They just never seem to have that much money. So any way that you can ever go to approach Carl Wellman and some of the people who are now trying to make this happen for this school, we already have received $500,000, so thank you from Jordan Harris. And we're so grateful to him. We gave us $250,000 at the 50th anniversary gala 2 years ago, and now another $250,000 tonight. So what a joy it has been to be connected with this school. Anyway, I kind of digressed from what I was going to say here, but I wanted to make sure that I bring up on the stage, and please don't sit there if you want. If you were a member of my faculty while you were here, or with Angela and the faculty, please come up here on the stage with me, because I want to see you up here. I want people to see who you are. Don't dare sit there. Come up here now. All the teachers, APA, Testa, the body, stuff. Liz Butler, Matt Colton, Stage of 7. Years Angelo and I were together. And after Angelo left and retired in 2011, for those following 2 years, I was so fortunate to have my assistant principal. This is Rochelle Richards, and she was my AP and helped me so much in those 2 years before I retired. So I was very pleased to have her be with us tonight. Thank you. My music staff was second to none. Oh, Carol Green. She wasn't that office for years volunteering. Get up, Carol. I know you have a new shoulder, but we don't care. So much to make this happen. I know Diane Danafelser was very involved in this evening in making it happen, and I'm very grateful to her and to all the people who worked with her. Scully, absolutely. Scully, they know she always hides in the background. She has been fabulously supporting the school for decades, so did her parents for many, many years. So this has been a joyous evening. I want to say, I conclude by saying, reminding you of the GAMP philosophy, which is, or the reason for being, we cannot tolerate another generation that knows so much about destroying human life, yet so little about enhancing it. We cannot permit our children to come into their maturity as masters of the atom and the gene, but ignorant of the ways of the human mind and heart. We are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. I just happened to see in March the most fabulous production of Mary Poppins. I don't know if Lindsay is here tonight. That's the most fabulous production Lindsay Conant and that team is now here did. I was so impressed with what I saw. And it rivaled many of the things that we did here in the many years, the 43 years that I was here. So, and that's not easy for me to say. I'm very critical of musical theater. One more thing. Angela, do you want to say a few words? Angela? Come on. Say a few words. A few words.
You didn't tell me I had a soul. And you really want me to talk. I'm still afraid of it. As most of us were. He's lying to you. What happened was, when the school district told Philadelphia Performing Arts to open a high school of 1,400 students in north of City Hall, we found that incredible building, and this is what happened. I came the last night, it was your last night for Grease, and I was afraid to come, because I thought, oh my goodness, everybody's going to be so mad at me. And I went up to Jack, and this is why. I went up to him, I said, Jack, we all know how dapper and handsome and how impressed he is with beautiful things. I said, Jack, no one else could be the principal of that building. You match that building. And that was our magnificent building. Oh, it's spectacular. Well, he matched the building. I said, Jack, you have to be there because you match. Because he was saying how incredible it was. Anyway, when I thought about the high school, and Jack has said, we worked together, even when we started Performing Arts and Jack was here, we called, we shared. The arts are very different, and you all know that. People in the arts are very different. They love each other, they share. There was never any animosity because we had 2 performing arts schools. And he would call me and I would call him. But I knew there could be no one else but the famous Dr. Jack Carr that could help me with my high school. But both my children came to GAM, and till today, they are still friends with many of the GAM students. They all meet, and we even have some GAM students that are on our board. I'm not going to say where, but we do. So we're one big happy family. We're one big happy family, and we always have been. And Jack, you are as amazing as you were the day I met you. And no one can keep up with him. No one can keep up with him. And we know that. So congratulations. This is 20 years too late. 20 years too late. The theater should have been named in his honor when it was first built, because without him, there would be no theater. Without him, there would be no theater. We love having Jack with us, and we just share in our children's successes every day. And thank all of you for allowing Jack to be with us a little bit. Because it is quite an honor for me to have Jack be part of our organization, and more than anything, to be our dear, dear friend. I love him dearly, and so does everybody, I'm sure, and everyone in our organization, which, by the way, we share. Many of the people from GAM are part of string theory and part of performing arts. So, and like we said, we love him, and we love Jack, and I know that Jack can't stop, because he's too driven and too amazing. Jack, enjoy.
So I'm going to close with a short tune. I'm having the nerve to sing to the people that you've heard here tonight, but it's more like kind of a joke type thing. But one of my favorite musicals is Wicked, and one of my favorite tunes from that is this one. Because I know, and I'm doing it in the vernacular of South Philadelphia. So because I will use, because I will use, I have been blessed for good.